Phase 5 will make the Eternals actually matter. Disregard saving this episode.
There's a giant celestial poking out of the Earth, and nobody seems to care. But that's all going to change in Phase 5 of the MCU. Finally, you heard that right. Phase 5 is going to make the Eternals actually matter in some truly surprising ways. Let's discuss how they just might be the key to the future of the MCU. You guys remember the Eternals, right? Arguably the most powerful characters in the MCU, fundamentally responsible for shaping humanity into what it is today, acting as the foundation for a lot of mankind's religions, myths, and historical figures. Canonically, the inventor of Irish accents? Yeah, those guys. Whatever happened to them? Well, their future is a bit bleak, don't you think? Their movie, like a lot of Phase 4, proved to be rather divisive, and it means their entire future has this ominous black cloud hanging over it as we wait and see what happens next with them. But I'm saying this right now, Eternals have massive potential. Genosha, Thunderbolts, other Phase 5 appearances? Yeah, Phase 5 could be a huge turning point. I think steps could be taken to make them an integral part of the MCU going forward. I mean, given their connection to the Celestials and their overall power levels, shouldn't they be the linchpin in the upcoming Kang Dynasty fight? You want them on your side. But that all starts by course correcting Phase 5 and utilizing this group of characters properly in the next few MCU projects. Look, overall, I think the MCU rushed into a big Eternals movie. Hey, I get it. The MCU obviously looked over at DC Universe's Justice League Mortal movie success and really wanted a piece of that action. Oh, sorry. For a moment there, I thought I was on that different Earth where George Miller's 2000s Justice League movie was made and earned $5 billion. I forgot I'm on our Earth now. Silly me, my mistake. Anyways, the MCU assumed they could just throw all the Eternals characters into one movie first and make something epic. And while I seem to like the movie more than most, I even admit that there was just so many characters. Do you remember them all? Like, okay, rapid fire Eternals. Of the main Eternals, we had Cersei, Icarus, Sprite, Kingo, Phastos, Makari, Druid, Gilgamesh, Thena, and Ajax. And then on top of that, you have prominent side characters like Crow and Dane Whitman. How can we truly be invested in these characters when they have to constantly vie for screen time? And one of the main ones, Icarus, sucks up a lot of screen energy by hiding his true feelings and essentially becoming a block of wood until the villain twist. As Tony Stark would say, not a great plan in terms of structuring a movie. It also didn't exactly help that the central romance the movie was trying to sell us on as like this love story across the ages between Cersei and Icarus didn't hold a candle to the pure chemistry that oozed off screen whenever Druid and Makari interacted. They're endgame, don't you think? But that's all in the past now. The Eternals are out, and instead of dwelling too much about what went wrong, it's time to look ahead and how we can set things right. Because we shouldn't give up on the Eternals. They all had shades of interesting aspects to them that I want to see explored more, so my solution is to make them super duper important to the MCU. How do you do that? Well, part of it involves Genosha and Thunderbolts, but I'll get to that a bit later in the video. This first section focuses on the Eternals themselves, and I think the best thing for them is to separate them out a bit in Phase 5. This should have been what Phase 4 did before the Eternals movie, but now we're backtracking. There are key spots where you could put these Eternals characters that would both make them better characters and build up hype for a next movie. Like, you should include Athena, Druid, and Makari in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Why not? That movie looks to have a focus on genetic mutation, and that sort of falls in line with the Eternals' whole existence, right? Put the Celestials and Cersei in the Marvels movie because Captain Marvel deals with some of the biggest cosmic threats around, so she should really start interacting with Celestials. Put Kingo in Secret Invasion. Don't you think that when the Skrulls infiltrate Earth, they would want to impersonate the most legendary Bollywood star of all time? Put Phastos in Captain America New World Order as someone who's now actively trying to help humanity again with his creations. All of these examples work to integrate the Eternals into the larger MCU and make them vital to the overall story. Because yes, I get it. On the list of priorities for an MCU movie, the priority should always be to make a great solo movie first and a larger interconnected adventure second. The first Eternals movie was an overall solid solo movie, but really hurt itself as a piece of this larger interconnected story we're telling. For example, that big pesky question of why not help out when Thanos threatens to wipe out humanity humanity never got a great answer. And now we are at the point where if you have these incredibly powerful cosmic beings who have been around forever, then they need to be a big part of the story. But there are still more plot ways to do that. Alright, I've gone too long without talking about the giant rock celestial sticking out of the Earth, which is really strange because that's all anybody should be talking about. Like, come on, if a giant rock celestial was sticking out of our Earth, wouldn't that dominate, like, every conversation at all times? How is everyone so nonplussed about this? Like, sure, maybe the Earth is now numb to all these superhero antics after its, like, 65th alien invasion, and everyone is still recouping over the ones who disappeared and came back 5 years later, but Earthlings just got confirmation that their planet was nothing more than an egg and we were seconds away from hatching. That should rock every major news outlet and fundamentally change the way humanity exists on Earth. But nah, I mean, I guess we got one mention of it in a side news article in She-Hulk? Yay! But maybe the MCU can explain this weird disconnect of interest from everyday people. Maybe they could tie Tiamat into the larger story in a way that fixes the lack of recognition from humanity, but set it up as one of the most important locations in the next few phases. There's been whispers that Tiamat will be converted into a livable area and become the island of Genosha in the MCU. Now, Genosha is a lot of things, but mainly it's a key location for mutants in Marvel Comics. It's switched back and forth between a brutal, war-torn landscape where there are mutant slaves to more of an open mutant paradise where mutants can be free. What if, as more and more mutants are entering the MCU, the shady world government is using Tiamat as a holding camp in order to conduct experiments? I mean, if you were a big, shady government executive, that would make sense. By taking all these mutants and putting them on Tiamat, you could essentially legally do anything to them. I mean, what's the protocol when a new landmass pops up? Who has jurisdiction? What are the laws? Exactly, there are none. So Tiamat could turn into the Proto-Genosha as just this horrible place of mutant suffering. Yeah, I get it. That's pretty dark. And now you're asking yourself, CBR voice guy, lighten up a bit. Oh, and don't ever do an ad read for a Ryan George video again. Okay, I hear ya. Well, for the first part at least. And really, you shouldn't worry. The new Genosha would start off horrible, but things would get better. In the comics, there's an arc where Magneto gets put in charge of Genosha and essentially liberates it in a sense, making it a true mutant-only community. Imagine that for a second. Magneto, whose backstory has always been tied to the internment camps in World War II, now is so full of rage in the modern society for essentially doing it again to mutants that he destroys whatever cruel experiments are happening on Genosha and turns it into the mutant paradise it is known for in the comics. Starting off as a place that mutants fear, only for it to become the symbol for mutant freedom, is a great arc that could be carried over multiple movies. And then having Genosha be such an important location would give us something new and different compared to what we had in the previous X-Men movies. And the great thing about all of this is that it makes what happens in Eternals relevant. Although they may not have direct connections with a lot of mutants at first, making Tiamat into Genosha ties thematically with the Eternals, as they essentially helped create and guide this new civilization, which was the whole point of their movie. At least I think it was. Maybe the whole point was how Kingo was a big coward and ran away and they never addressed it. And as of now, Kumail Nanjiani got MCU buff for no reason. That still rubs me the wrong way. Anyways, I think there would be some side benefits to making the tweak and saying Tiamat is the new Genosha. For instance, maybe residual celestial power from Tiamat could power mutants up in certain ways. Maybe activate latent mutations or something like that. And if we ever get to the storyline where Genosha could essentially raise people from the dead, they could tie that also into the Celestials' immense power. See, it's a win-win-win. It gives the mutants something and somewhere exciting. It keeps the Eternals relevant to the story, and we could overall learn more about Celestials through this, which is great since they'll probably be semi-important in the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. It also overall makes a great location for a movie. But what movie, you ask? Well, I've been teasing it for a while, and here it comes. I'm talking about the Thunderbolts. So if we think of where is the best place to put a Genosha-centric story in Phase 5, really only one movie comes to mind, and that's the Thunderbolts. Cue Thunder, cue Bolts, cue Thunderbolts. Yes, I like the title and the team implication, but I wish they would have stuck with the original title, which was the popular side character movie where we cram everyone who we like but don't think would do well as a solo hero movie, otherwise known as TPSCMWWCEWWLBDTWDWAASHM for short. Yeah, I guess Thunderbolts is better. Anyways, Thunderbolts will see a team of street-level operatives, including Bucky, U.S. Agent, Yelena, Red Guardian, Taskmaster, and Ghost, form a squad of some sort and probably go on some suicidal mission. That sounds a little familiar, but who knows? Anyways, there's been a lot of speculation on what exactly the Thunderbolts are going to do in their movie. I mean, really, with that cast, I'd watch them have a game night at Bucky's apartment, but the MCU isn't answering my letters or text to see if they want to buy my spec script. The next big thing would be sending them directly to Genosha. For a while, before Blade's production troubles, Thunderbolts was going to be the last film of Phase 5. And if you're the last movie of a phase, then you know it's important. This could be the movie that fully integrates the mutants into the larger MCU. It's been suggested that maybe the Thunderbolts are sent to Genosha in order to steal adamantium. And while I don't know how true that would end up being, it would make a little sense. Since vibranium is being closely guarded, the US military would probably want the next best thing, which would be adamantium. They know Genosha is a neutral, secretive, non-public place, so they send the Thunderbolts to in order to get the job done. This could lead to a semi-Avengers versus X-Men fight. The Thunderbolts could fight a group of early X-Men, and that encounter is what inspires the X-Men to form and join the world in the future. Yes, that is a major tweak to the comic mythos, but again, like I always say, it's okay if the MCU makes these changes and tweaks as long as it stays true to the essence of the character and helps the audience understand and get on board better. This Thunderbolts focus could be the way to do that and set the stage for something bigger down the line. And the great thing about all this is that it traces back to the Eternals. By being responsible for Tiamat, the Eternals essentially are responsible for those in Genosha as well. Then they could sit back and watch their new civilization develop, or they could take a more hands-on approach and help it become one of the best mutant havens ever. See, I told you the Eternals could be relevant in Phase 5 again. Let's make it happen, MCU. Were the Eternals given a proper chance to grow in the MCU? Do you think there should be more Eternals movies or more appearances by those characters? Would you vacation on an island made from a giant celestial that almost destroyed Earth? Tough questions. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching CBR. See you next time.
Please subscribe, like this video. Have a great morning. See you guys. Bye.